The warning sirens screamed through the trading station like dying animals. Taemin grabbed his jacket and ran toward his ship's docking bay. All around him, humans were doing the same thing. Everyone knew what those sirens meant. The station's reactor was failing, and they had maybe 10 minutes before the whole place became a tomb floating in space. His boots hammered against the metal floor as he pushed through the crowd. Other pilots were already firing up their engines. He could hear the rumble through the walls. Taemin reached his cargo ship and slapped the door control. Nothing happened. He hit it again, harder this time. Still nothing. The power was already going out in sections. That's when he heard it. A voice, small and broken, coming through his comm device. It wasn't speaking standard very well, but he understood enough. Someone was trapped in the alien district. Someone young. Someone asking for help. Taemin looked at his ship, then at the corridor leading deeper into the station. Every logical part of his brain told him to override the door manually and get out, but his feet were already moving in the wrong direction, toward the alien district, toward the voice. The Valkyrie section of the station was nothing like the human areas. The air here was different, thick with methane that would kill a human in seconds without protection. Environmental suits hung on the walls for visitors, but half of them were already gone. Taemin grabbed one and pulled it on as he ran. The helmet sealed with a hiss, and suddenly the world became quieter, filtered through the suit's speakers. Smoke filled the corridors ahead. Red emergency lights flashed, making everything look like a nightmare. Taemin followed the comm signal, stepping over fallen debris and sparking cables. The voice on the comm had gone silent now, which scared him more than the screaming sirens. He found her in what looked like a diplomatic meeting room. The ceiling had collapsed on one side, and flames licked up the walls, despite the lack of oxygen humans needed for fire. The Valkyrie used different chemistry. Their fires burned cold and blue, feeding on the methane in the air. The girl was small, much smaller than he expected. She wore a protective suit designed for her species, but a piece of metal debris had torn it open. Methane was leaking out, and the wrong kind of air was leaking in. She was dying. Taemin didn't think. He dropped to his knees beside her and pulled out his emergency repair kit. His hands shook as he cut patches from his own suit's repair materials. The girl's eyes opened, multiple crystalline orbs that seemed to glow in the emergency lighting. She looked at him with something that might have been hope or might have been fear. The patch wouldn't hold for long. Taemin knew that. It was designed for small tears in human suits, not catastrophic failures in alien environmental systems. But it was all he had. He worked fast, sealing the worst of the tears, knowing that every second counted. Getting her out from under the debris was harder. The metal was hot, even through his gloves, and it was heavy. Taemin braced his feet and pulled. His muscles screamed. His radiation badge, the small device every spacer wore, began to beep. They were too close to the reactor, too close to the leaking core, but he didn't stop pulling. The metal shifted. The girl made a sound, something between a gasp and a chime. Taemin pulled harder, and suddenly she was free. He scooped her up. She weighed almost nothing in the station's artificial gravity. The way they had come was blocked now. Flames filled the corridor, and the floor had buckled. Taemin's mind raced. There had to be another way out. Then, he remembered the maintenance shafts. They ran through the whole station, including the sections near the reactor core that no one was supposed to enter except for repairs. His radiation badge wasn't just beeping anymore. Taemin found the shaft entrance behind a fallen panel. The access hatch was small, barely big enough for him to crawl through while carrying the girl. He went in anyway. The shaft was dark and narrow, lit only by his suit's helmet light. The walls were warm, too warm. Numbers scrolled across his helmet display, showing radiation levels that made his stomach turn. He crawled forward, holding the girl against his chest with one arm and pulling himself along with the other. The radiation counter climbed higher. His suit's computer started giving him warnings. calm, automated voice telling him he needed to evacuate immediately. He ignored it. The girl stirred in his arms. She was looking up at him with those strange, beautiful eyes. Taemin wondered if she understood what was happening. If she knew that a stranger was dying to save her. The shaft seemed endless. Taemin's arms burned with effort. His lungs burned even though his suit was giving him clean air. Everything burned. Everything burned. The radiation was cooking him from the inside out, damaging cells faster than his body could repair them. He knew this. He had been a military pilot before becoming a cargo hauler. He knew exactly what these levels meant, but he could see light ahead. Real light, not just emergency red. The Valkyrie docking area. Taemin crawled faster, ignoring the pain, ignoring the warnings, ignoring everything except the need to get this child to safety. The shaft opened into a large bay, where a Valkyrie ship waited. It was beautiful. All flowing lines and crystalline structures that seemed to grow rather than be built. He stumbled out of the shaft and fell to his knees. The girl rolled from his arms. Taemin tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't work anymore. The radiation sickness was hitting him now, all at once, like a hammer to the gut. Valkyrie surrounded them, tall, graceful beings, with skin like polished stone and eyes like stars. They swarmed over the girl, checking her suit, carrying her toward their ship. One of them, taller than the others and wearing something that might have been a crown, bent down and scooped up the child. Taemin watched through blurring vision as the tall Valkyrie held the girl close. The child was moving. Alive. Safe. He had done it. The thought made him smile, even as darkness crept in from the edges of his vision. The last thing he saw was the tall Valkyrie turning to look at him. She had more eyes than the others, arranged in a pattern across her face that seemed to shift and change. A queen, maybe. A mother, definitely. She was looking at him the way people look at something they don't understand. Something impossible. Then the darkness took him, and Taemin knew nothing at all. Taemin woke up in a room he didn't recognize. The ceiling above him pulsed with soft blue light that seemed to breathe. Everything was curved and smooth, like the inside of a shell. He tried to sit up, and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through every part of his body. A figure appeared beside him. Tall and crystalline, with too many joints in the wrong places. Valkyrie. The memories came flooding back. The station. The girl. The radiation. You should rest, the Valkyrie said. The voice came from a small device, translating their chiming language into words he could understand. Your body is damaged. We are repairing what we can. Taemin looked down at his arms. They were covered in bandages that glowed faintly. He could feel things moving under them. Tiny machines, probably. Fixing the radiation damage, cell by cell. Technology that humans didn't have. The girl, he managed to say. His throat felt like he had swallowed glass. Princess Nari lives because of you, the Valkyrie said. You will meet her soon. Princess. Of course. Nothing could ever be simple. The days that followed were strange. Taemin learned he was on the Valkyrie homeworld, a place called Velthara. His room was in the royal palace, and it was nicer than anywhere he had ever lived. The bed adjusted to his body. The walls could show him any view he wanted. Food appeared when he was hungry, delivered by silent Valkyrie servants who bowed when they saw him. But the door wouldn't open when he asked it to. After a week, he was strong enough to walk. A Valkyrie came to his room, different from the doctor. This one wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. The queen will see you now, the translator device said. They led him through corridors that twisted in ways that hurt his human eyes to follow. Everything here seemed alive somehow. The palace wasn't just built. It was grown. Finally, they reached a chamber so large that Taemin couldn't see the far walls. Queen Isara sat on something that wasn't quite a throne. She was taller than the other Valkyrie, and her skin had veins of gold running through it. Her eyes, 6 of them arranged in a pattern like a constellation, fixed on Taemin as he approached. "The human who saved my daughter," she said. Her voice was beautiful, even through the translator. "I am in your debt. I am in your debt. I am in your debt." Taemin didn't know how to respond to that. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," the queen said firmly. "You did what none of your kind have ever done. You threw away your life for a stranger's child. For an alien child." She stood and walked toward him. Up close, she was even more impressive. Light seemed to radiate from her skin. "By the laws of my people, a life debt of this magnitude can never be repaid. It can only be honored. You are now under my protection. Taemin of Earth. Forever." The word, forever, hung in the air like a weight. "What does that mean?" Taemin asked, though he was starting to understand. "It means you are safe. It means no harm will come to you. It means you will want for nothing. It means you are home. With Harzwan, it means you are home." "This isn't my home," Taemin said quietly. The queen's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. "It is now." The months that followed taught Taemin the full meaning of her words. He had everything except freedom. His quarters were beautiful. His food was excellent. His medical care was the best in the galaxy, but he couldn't leave. Guards, polite but immovable, stood at every exit. When he asked to contact his family on Earth, the Queen herself came to explain. "The universe is dangerous," she said. "You have proven yourself willing to die for others. This makes you vulnerable. I will not allow harm to come to one who saved my daughter. You are protected here." "I'm a prisoner," Taemin said. "You are honored," the Queen corrected. There is a difference, but Taemin couldn't see it. He wasn't alone, though. Princess Nari visited him almost every day. She was young, maybe the equivalent of a human 10-year-old, and she was fascinated by him. She asked endless questions about Earth, about humans, about everything. She was learning his language, speaking it with a chiming accent that made him smile despite everything. "Why are you sad?" she asked one day. They were in the palace gardens, which were full of plants that grew in directions that defied physics. "I miss my home," Taemin admitted. "But this is your home now," Nari said, confused. "Mother said so. You saved me, so now you stay with us. Forever. Isn't that good?" How could he explain to a child that love could be a cage? 6 months after his arrival, the human government finally responded. Ambassador Hyunwoo arrived on Velthara with a diplomatic team. Taemin wasn't allowed at the meetings, but he heard about them from the servants who had started to trust him. The negotiations went badly. The Valkyrie couldn't understand why humans wanted to take Taemin away from safety and honor. The humans couldn't understand why the Valkyrie wouldn't let a citizen go home. They were speaking different languages, even when the translators worked perfectly. Hyunwoo managed to see Taemin once, briefly. The ambassador looked tired. "We're trying," Hyunwoo said. "But their culture is so different. To them, they're honoring you in the highest way possible. They literally cannot comprehend why you would want to leave." "Tell them I'm grateful," Taemin said. "Tell them I understand the honor. But tell them I need to go home." "I have," Hyunwoo said sadly. "The Queen says home is where you are safe and loved. By her logic, that's here." After the ambassador left, Taemin stood in his beautiful room and looked out at the alien sky. 2 moons hung in the purple twilight. Beautiful, but wrong. Everything here was wrong, no matter how nice it was. The door chimed. Taemin turned to find someone he hadn't expected. Dae Jung, his old friend from his military days, wearing civilian clothes, but moving like the soldier he still was. "You look terrible," Dae Jung said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "How did you get in here?" "The diplomatic team has a few military advisors. I volunteered." Dae-jung moved close and lowered his voice. I have a team. We can get you out. Tonight. Tonight. Taemin's heart jumped. Freedom. Earth. Home. All of it just one decision away. The Valkyrie will see it as a betrayal, Taemin said slowly. Who cares? You're not their property. But Taemin was thinking about Nari. About the Queen's sad eyes. About a culture so alien that they thought imprisonment was love. I need time, he said finally. Dae-jung looked disappointed but nodded. You have until tomorrow. After that, the diplomatic team leaves, and I go with them. This is your only chance. That night, Taemin couldn't sleep. He walked the gardens under the twin moons, trying to decide. That's where Nari found him. Can't sleep? She asked in careful English. Too much thinking, he admitted. She sat beside him on a bench made of crystal that somehow wasn't cold. Are you going to leave with the other humans? How did you know about that? I'm not stupid, Nari said. I see things. I hear things. And I know you're unhappy. Taemin sighed. I don't want to hurt you or your mother, but you want to go home. Yes. Nari was quiet for a long moment. Mother is scared. She lost my father. He died saving me too. And now she found you. Someone else who would die for me. And she can't let go. She thinks, if she keeps you safe here, you can't die. The simple truth from a child's mouth hit harder than any diplomatic argument. I'm not going to die on Earth, Taemin said gently. Everyone dies, Nari said. But Mother thinks she can stop it if she keeps you close enough. When dawn came, Taemin made his decision. He sent Dae-jung away without him. The shock on his friend's face hurt. But Taemin had realized something important. He couldn't escape this cage. But maybe, just maybe, he could unlock it from the inside. If he was going to be free, he needed to make the Queen understand. And to do that, he needed to understand her first. He needed to learn everything about Valkyrie culture, their laws, their history. He needed to find the key that would satisfy both her need to protect him and his need to be free. It would take time. It would take patience. But Taemin had always been good at the long game. The Queen came to see him that evening. I heard you sent the extraction team away. I did, Taemin said. I'm not giving up on freedom. Something like respect flickered in her many eyes. How? Teach me, Taemin said. Teach me your language, your laws, your culture. Let me understand you. And maybe, one day, you'll understand me too. Queen Isara studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it was like watching stars come out. Very well, Taemin of Earth. Let us begin. 1 year after the rescue, Taemin could speak Valkyrie well enough to make the servants laugh at his jokes. He could read their flowing script and understand most of their customs. But more importantly, he had gained access to something few outsiders ever saw: the royal archives. The archivist, an ancient Valkyrie named Kael, had been keeping records for longer than humans had been flying in space. His skin had turned almost transparent with age, and his eyes held the weight of centuries. He moved slowly through the towering shelves of crystalline data storage, each one containing thousands of years of history. Life debts, Kael said, in his whispering voice, pulling down a data crystal. You wish to know about life debts? Everything about them, Taemin confirmed. The old Valkyrie made a sound like wind chimes laughing. Then you will be here for many years. But I will show you what matters. The crystal projected images in the air between them. Kael explained that, in 10,000 years of recorded Valkyrie history, only 17 life debts, of the highest magnitude, had been recorded. Most were between Valkyrie themselves. All but one had been resolved by death. One escaped? Taemin asked, leaning forward. Escaped is the wrong word, Kael said. She fulfilled the debt. The last debt holder lived 3,000 years ago. She saved a queen's heir from drowning in the methane seas. The queen kept her close for 60 years, protecting her. Then one day, the debt holder did something remarkable. She taught the heir everything she knew about ocean navigation. The heir became the greatest explorer our people had ever seen, discovering new lands and bringing prosperity to the whole kingdom. The queen declared the debt fulfilled, because the debt holder had given more than a life. She had given a legacy. Taemin felt something click in his mind. The debt wasn't about protection. It was about value. Yes and no, Kale said. To protect something precious is to honor it. But you are correct that the debt can be satisfied through service of equal magnitude to the original sacrifice. Every day, Taemin spent hours in the archives, learning. Every evening, he would walk with Princess Nari and teach her about Earth. She was older now, more thoughtful, asking questions that went deeper than simple curiosity. Tell me about human families, she asked one day. Taemin told her about his mother and father, about his sister Ji-won who sent him messages when the queen allowed them through. He told her about Sunday dinners and birthday celebrations, and the way his mother would worry when he took dangerous cargo runs. Your mother worries from far away, Nari observed. My mother worries by keeping you close. Both are love. Just different shapes. The girl was wise beyond her years. But the messages from Ji-won were becoming harder to read. His mother was sick. Not dying. Not yet. But getting older and weaker. She wanted to see her son. The thought of his mother dying while he was trapped light years away made Taemin's chest feel tight. He doubled his efforts in the archives. There had to be a solution. There had to be a way to honor the queen's debt, while also honoring his own need to be with his family. One day, Kale showed him something unexpected. A section of history about the queen herself. About her mate, Prince Consort Theron. He was remarkable, Kale said softly. Intelligent, kind, beloved by all. Princess Nari was just an infant when assassins struck. They wanted to destroy the royal line and throw our world into chaos. The crystal showed images of a male Valkyrie, tall and graceful, throwing himself between an energy blast and a small cradle. He had died instantly. But the baby survived. Queen Isara has ruled alone since then, Kale continued. She has been offered many consorts, but she refuses them all. She says her heart died with Theron. All she has left is Nari. And now, you. Taemin understood then. He wasn't just a debt to the queen. He was a ghost. An echo of her dead mate. Someone who had proven they would die for Nari, without hesitation. Someone who reminded her of what she lost. That's why she can't let me go, he said quietly. Perhaps. Kale agreed. But understanding the cage does not open it. Taemin started paying closer attention to how the queen ruled. He attended court sessions where she heard disputes and made decisions. He watched her interact with advisors and foreign dignitaries. What he saw fascinated him. Queen Isara was brilliant and fair, but she was also rigid. Every decision was based on tradition and precedent. The Valkyrie had survived for thousands of years by following the old ways exactly. Change was slow, measured in centuries rather than years. But Taemin also noticed the cracks. The Valkyrie were facing new challenges. Other species were expanding into their territory. Trade disputes were increasing. The old ways didn't always work for new problems, and the humans were a particular problem. Both species wanted the same resources, the same planets, the same trade routes. Small conflicts kept erupting. Nothing major yet, but Taemin could see where it was heading. Without understanding between humans and Valkyrie, there would eventually be war. An idea began to form in his mind. It was ambitious, maybe impossible, but it was the first real hope he'd had in months. He requested an audience with the queen. She granted it immediately, as she always did. They met in her private chambers, a place of stunning beauty with windows that looked out over crystalline gardens. You have been studying hard, Queen Isara said. KL tells me you read faster than any student he has ever taught. And 1. Queen Souther 1. Queen Souther 1. I need to understand, Taemin said. I need to understand you, your people, everything. And, what have you learned? Taemin took a breath. I've learned that you're afraid. Not of me leaving. Of me dying. You lost someone who saved Nari. And you can't bear to lose another. The Queen's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes confirmed his words. I've also learned, Taemin continued, that I can't escape this debt. But maybe I don't need to. Maybe I need to fulfill it instead. How? The Queen asked. You already gave your life for my daughter. That you still breathe is only because of our medical skills. I gave my life once, Taemin said. But what if I could give something more? What if I could give Nari a future where humans and Velkari don't destroy each other? The Queen leaned forward slightly. Explain. Your people and mine are heading for conflict. We don't understand each other. We see the same actions differently. What looks like aggression to us looks like caution to you. What looks like chaos to you looks like freedom to us. We're going to fight because we don't understand. This is known, the Queen said. My advisors speak of it constantly, but I understand both sides, Taemin said. I'm human, but I've lived here for a year. I speak your language. I know your customs. I can see both perspectives. Let me use that. Let me serve the life debt by building bridges between our species. You would do this as a prisoner? The Queen asked. I would do this as someone who wants to protect Nari's future, Taemin said. You saved my life with your medical technology. You gave me a gift. Let me give one back. Let me help prevent a war that could destroy everything Nari will inherit. Queen Isara was silent for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was thoughtful. You present an interesting argument. But words are easy. How do I know you can do what you claim? 2. Test me. Taemin said immediately. Give me a problem between our species. Let me try to solve it. If I fail, I'll never ask to leave again. If I succeed, you'll consider my proposal. Seriously. The Queen's eyes seemed to glow brighter. There is a situation. A human colony and a Velkari settlement on the same planet. Both claim the same resources. Violence is close. 3 mediators have failed. The humans do not trust Velkari diplomats. The Velkari do not trust human negotiators. Let me go there, Taemin said. If you fail, the colony could erupt into war. Hundreds could die. If I don't try, hundreds will die anyway, Taemin pointed out. At least this way there's a chance. The Queen stood and walked to the window. Her reflection in the crystal looked like a figure made of starlight. You would leave Velthara, for the first time in a year. You would be among your own people. The temptation to escape would be strong. I won't run, Taemin said. The word of a human, the Queen said, but there was something almost like amusement in her tone. Very well. You will go to the colony world they call Arcadia. You will have 1 month. If you succeed in preventing war, I will seriously consider your proposal to serve the life debt through diplomacy. If you fail, you will return here and never speak of leaving again. Agreed, Taemin said. As he left the Queen's chambers, his heart was racing. He had 1 month to prove himself. 1 month to show that he was more valuable as a bridge than as a protected symbol. 1 month to earn his freedom. That night, Princess Nari came to his quarters. She looked at him with those crystalline eyes that saw too much. You're going away, she said. Just for a while. To prove yourself to Mother. Yes, Taemin admitted. Nari was quiet for a moment. When I was little, I thought you stayed because you loved us. Now I know you stay because you have to. That makes me sad. I do care about you, Taemin said gently. That's real. But I also need to be free. Taemin. 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 I know, Nari said. And I hope you succeed. Because Mother needs to learn that love isn't about holding on tight. It's about letting go. Dunk's time. The colony world Arcadia looked almost like Earth from orbit. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling in familiar patterns. But as the Velkari ship descended, Taemin could see the differences. The plants were wrong colors. The continents were shaped like nothing back home. And most importantly, he could see the division. The human settlement sprawled across the eastern continent, buildings thrown up quickly with that chaotic human energy. The Velkari colony sat on the western continent. Perfectly planned domes and crystalline structures arranged in mathematical precision. Between them lay disputed territory. Rich in minerals, both species needed. Taemin stepped off the ship and breathed air that wasn't filtered through Velkari environmental systems for the first time in over a year. It smelled wrong. Too much oxygen and not enough of the trace chemicals he'd gotten used to. But it was closer to home than anything he'd experienced in months. The Velkari guards who accompanied him stood out like diamonds in mud. Humans stared as they walked through the landing area. Taemin heard whispers. Some people recognized him from the news stories. The human who saved an alien princess. The human who disappeared. Governor Sunho met him at the Colonial Administration building. She was a hard-looking woman, with gray hair and tired eyes. She looked Taemin up and down like she was trying to decide what he was. "So you're the miracle worker the Velkari sent," she said. "No offense, but you're human. Why should I trust that you're on our side?" "I'm not on anyone's side," Taemin said. "I'm trying to stop a war. Wars happen when one side takes what isn't theirs," Sunho said flatly. "The Velkari are claiming mineral rights that we filed for first. They're using their slow, bureaucratic process to steal from us." Before Taemin could respond, the Velkari diplomat, Elder Visra, arrived. The tall alien made the human governor look tiny. When Visra spoke, the translator made their words sound cold and precise. The humans demonstrate their typical impatience. They filed claims without proper geological surveys. Their haste endangers the planetary ecosystem. "We are following correct procedures. Procedures that take 10 years while we sit here with nothing," Sunho shot back. Taemin held up his hands. "I need to understand both sides. Give me time. Let me live with your communities. Learn what's really happening." "Time?" Sunho laughed bitterly. "Every day we wait, our colony goes deeper in debt. We can't mine, can't expand, can't do anything, except watch the Velkari slowly crush us with paperwork." But Taemin was already seeing the problem. Both sides were talking, but neither was listening. They were so focused on their own perspective that they couldn't see the other's reality. He spent the next week living with the human colonists. He ate in their mess halls, listened to their complaints, and felt the weight of their frustration. These weren't bad people. They were pioneers who had risked everything to build new lives. They'd followed human law, filed their claims according to human procedures, and now felt like the rules were being changed on them. Then he moved to the Velkari settlement. The contrast was shocking. Where humans lived in practical but ugly prefab buildings, the Velkari had created beauty. But their beauty came at a cost. Everything took time. Every decision required meetings, consultations, reviews. What humans could do in days took the Velkari months. But he also learned something important. The Velkari weren't trying to cheat anyone. They genuinely believed their slow, careful approach was the right way. In their long history, rushing had caused disasters. Patience had kept them alive. One night, sitting with a group of Velkari scientists, Taemin asked them about the disputed minerals. "The humans want to extract them quickly," one scientist explained. "This would destabilize the tectonic plates in this region. In 50 years, there will be catastrophic earthquakes. We know this. Our models are very precise. But the humans will not wait for us to show them the data properly." "Oh, so. Have you tried to show them?" Taemin asked. We are preparing the presentation. It will be ready in 4 months. Taemin almost laughed. The humans will be at war with you in 4 months. They need answers now. Now is not how science works, the Velkari said, genuinely confused. That's when Taemin understood. Both sides were right, and both were wrong. The humans were too fast, ignoring consequences. The Velkari were too slow, ignoring urgency. Neither could see that their own cultural approach was causing the problem. He went back to Governor Sunho with a proposal. I want to see your geological surveys. She provided them, raw data dumped into his portable computer. Then he went to the Velkari and asked for their planetary models. They gave him access. Though, they cautioned, the data was still being verified. Taemin spent 3 days without sleep, comparing both sets of information. What he found was both frustrating and hopeful. The humans had rushed their surveys, but had still found legitimate mineral deposits. The Velkari models were correct about tectonic instability, but only in specific areas. There were zones where mining could happen safely, but neither side had bothered to look for the overlap. They were too busy fighting. He called a meeting in neutral territory, a prefab building at the edge of both settlements. Sunho came with her mining supervisors. Elder Visra came with Velkari scientists. They sat on opposite sides of the room, glaring at each other. I have a proposal, Taemin said. But first, I need you both to listen to something. Really listen, not just wait for your turn to argue. He started with the human side. He explained their desperation, their financial pressures, their need to prove the colony viable before investors pulled funding. He made the Velkari understand that for humans, time wasn't just inconvenient, it was survival. Then he turned to the Velkari perspective. He showed the humans the planetary models, explaining in simple terms how unstable Arcadia's geology was. He made them see that the Velkari weren't being obstructionist. They were trying to prevent a disaster that would kill everyone on the planet. You're both right, Taemin said. And you're both wrong. Humans, you can't just dig anywhere you want. This planet will kill you if you do. Velkari, you can't take 10 years to approve every decision. These people will starve waiting for your paperwork. Unclimb. So what do you suggest? Sunho asked, her tone skeptical but less hostile than before. Taemin brought up a holographic map of Arcadia. I've identified 12 zones where mining can happen safely, according to Velkari geological models. They're not the richest deposits, but they're good enough. I propose we start extraction there immediately, using human speed but Velkari safety protocols. That's a compromise, Elder Visra said slowly. But it does not solve the long-term resource problem. No, it doesn't, Taemin agreed. That's where the real proposal comes in. You need to work together on something bigger, something that requires both human innovation and Velkari planning. He changed the hologram, showing Arcadia's thin atmosphere. This planet isn't fully habitable for either of your species. Humans need environmental suits outside the protected zones. Velkari need methane-enriched domes. But what if you could fix that? Terraform the planet? One of the human engineers said. That takes centuries and more money than our entire colony budget. Not terraform. Atmospheric processing, Taemin said. Build a network of processors that can gradually shift the atmosphere to support both species comfortably. Yes, it will take decades. But humans are good at building quickly. Velkari are good at long-term planning. Together, you could do this. The room was silent. Then Elder Visra spoke. Such a project would require trust. We would need to work side by side for years. That's the point, Taemin said. You can't build trust by fighting over rocks. But you can build it by creating something that benefits everyone. Governor Sunho looked at her engineers. They were doing calculations, muttering to each other. If we commit to this atmospheric project, we need guarantees. We need immediate access to those safe mining zones you identified. We need to start making money while we build. Acceptable, Elder Visra said. If the humans agree to follow Velkari safety protocols and submit to regular geological monitoring, we can do that, Sunho said slowly. If the monitoring reports come back in days, not months, we can expedite essential safety data, Visra agreed. Taemin felt his heart lift. They were negotiating. Really negotiating. Not just yelling past each other. The details took 2 more weeks to work out. There were arguments and setbacks. Once, a human mining crew started work in an unapproved zone and had to be stopped by Velkari security. Another time, a Velkari inspector shut down a mining operation over a minor paperwork error, and the humans nearly rioted. But each time, Taemin was there, translating not just words, but intentions, helping each side see the other as people, not obstacles. The day the agreement was signed, both humans and Velkari gathered at the construction site for the first atmospheric processor. It would be built by mixed teams, humans providing the labor and rapid construction, Velkari providing the design and quality control. Governor Sunho shook hands with Elder Visra. The gesture meant nothing to the Velkari, but they tried to mirror it awkwardly. It was imperfect and strange, but it was a start. As Taemin boarded the Velkari ship to return to Velthara, a human military officer approached him. Captain Bo-Ra, who had been on Arcadia as a security liaison. She looked at him, seriously. "There's a transport leaving for Earth tomorrow," she said quietly. "I could get you on it. No questions asked. You could just disappear. The Velkari couldn't stop us once you're in human space." Taemin looked at her, then back at Arcadia. He could run. Right now, he could just run and be free. But he'd made a promise. And more than that, he'd proven something important. He was more valuable as a bridge than as a symbol locked away. "Thank you," he said to Bo-Ra. "But I need to finish what I started." She nodded, respect in her eyes. "You're either very brave or very stupid. I haven't decided which." "Maybe both," Taemin said with a smile. As the ship lifted off, he watched Arcadia shrink below him. Humans and Velkari, working together, building something that would take decades, but would benefit everyone. It wasn't perfect, but it was possible. And possibility was all he needed. Taemin returned to Velthara expecting praise. What he found was chaos. The royal palace was filled with arguing voices. Velkari nobles and council members crowded the corridors, their chiming language creating a discordant noise. Guards stood at every intersection, tense and alert. Something was very wrong. A servant found him as soon as he entered his quarters. "The Queen requests your presence immediately," they said. The translator, making even urgent words sound calm. The throne room was packed. The Grand Council sat in their ceremonial positions, dozens of ancient Velkari whose combined age spanned millennia. At the center sat Queen Isara, and for the first time since Taemin had known her, she looked tired. "The human returns," said a Velkari whose skin had turned almost black with age. "High Chancellor Morveth, the leader of the conservative faction." "How convenient." "High Chancellor," the Queen said, warningly. "No, let us speak plainly," Morveth continued, his multiple eyes fixed on Taemin. "This human was sent to solve a minor colonial dispute. Instead, he has created something far more dangerous. Humans and Velkari working together, mixing our cultures, corrupting our traditions. This cannot stand." Taemin looked at the Queen. "What's happening?" "Your success on Arcadia has divided the council," Queen Isara said carefully. "Some see it as proof that cooperation between our species is possible and beneficial. Others see it as a threat to Velkari culture and tradition." "It's working," Taemin said. "The colony is peaceful now. Both sides are building something together." "Exactly," Morveth said coldly. "You have shown that humans can influence Velkari decisions, can change our careful processes, can make us rush and compromise. This is unacceptable. The life debt must be maintained. You must remain here, under protection, where you cannot cause further disruption to our society. Other council members began to argue. Some supported Morveth. Others defended Taemin's actions. The noise grew louder, more chaotic. The queen raised her hand for silence, and eventually the room quieted. "We will discuss this properly," she said. "Taemin, you are dismissed." As guards escorted him out, Taemin caught Princess Nari's eye. She sat in a junior position at the council. Old enough now to observe governance, but not yet old enough to vote. The look she gave him was complicated. Part worry and part determination. The next days were tense. Taemin was confined to his quarters while the council debated. He tried to get information from servants, but they were instructed not to speak to him. Even Archivist Kale stopped visiting. Then everything changed. News came from the edge of Velkari space. A human fleet had arrived, led by Admiral Sang-hoon. They weren't attacking, but they also weren't leaving. The message was clear. Return the human citizen or face consequences. Ambassador Young Mi, who had replaced Hyun Woo in human-Velkari relations, worked desperately to prevent conflict. But the situation was spiraling. Human media was calling Taemin a prisoner. Velkari media was calling the human fleet an invasion force. Both sides were preparing for war over one man. Taemin felt sick. This was exactly what he'd been trying to prevent. The queen came to see him personally. She looked exhausted, her normally glowing skin dim. "I did not want this," she said quietly. "Neither did I," Taemin replied. "Let me go. Let me talk to the human fleet. Explain that this is a misunderstanding. The council will not allow it. Morveth has convinced enough members that releasing you would appear weak, that it would encourage human aggression. They want to keep you here as proof of Velkari sovereignty." "That's insane. That's politics," the queen said bitterly. "And I am losing control of it." She sat down, a gesture of informality that shocked Taemin. Queens didn't sit casually with anyone except family. "You have become important to me," Queen Isara said. "You and my daughter are the only family I have. When Theron died, I thought I would never care about anyone again. But then you saved Nari. And you reminded me what courage looked like. I wanted to keep you safe, to protect you like I couldn't protect him. But in doing so, I created this prison for both of us." "You were trying to honor the life debt," Taemin said gently. "I was trying to control death," the queen said. "I thought if I could keep you close, if I could protect you every moment, you wouldn't die like he did. But life isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be lived." Before Taemin could respond, the doors burst open. Princess Nari strode in, followed by palace guards who looked uncertain about whether to stop her. "Mother," Nari said formally, "I request permission to address the Grand Council." "Nari, this is not the time," the queen began. "This is exactly the time," Nari said. Her young voice had a strength that reminded Taemin of her mother. "I am old enough to observe the council. By our laws, I am old enough to speak before them. I invoke that right." The queen looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Very well. The council will convene immediately." The throne room was even more packed than before. Word had spread that the princess would speak, something that hadn't happened in living memory. Young royals observed, but they didn't participate. Nari was breaking tradition. She stood before the assembled council, small but unafraid. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly through the chamber. "Honored council members, I come before you to speak about life debts, about honor, and about the future of our people." High Chancellor Morveth leaned forward. "The princess is young and does not understand the complexity of these matters." "I understand more than you think," Nari said. "I was there the day Taemin saved my life. I felt the heat of the flames, the pain of my ruptured suit, the certainty that I was going to die. And then a stranger, an alien who had no reason to care about me, threw away his life to save mine. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each council member. I have spent 2 years watching this human. I have learned his language, studied his culture, and come to understand something important. The life debt my mother holds is not a chain to bind him. It is a gift he gave freely. And by imprisoning him, we dishonor that gift. The life debt is sacred, Morveth argued. It must be maintained. The life debt is sacred, Nari agreed. But we have forgotten what it truly means. Taemin didn't just save my body that day. He showed me what true courage looks like. He showed me that sometimes the right thing to do is sacrifice yourself for someone you don't even know. She turned to look at Taemin directly. And now he's doing it again. He could have escaped to the human fleet. He could have caused a war between our peoples. But he stays, trying to build peace instead. That's not imprisonment. That's choice. That's honor. Pretty words, Morveth said. But they change nothing. The law is clear. Then I propose we change the law, Nari said. And the room erupted in shocked whispers. I propose that the life debt can be fulfilled not through endless protection, but through service that equals the original sacrifice. Impossible, Morveth said. No one can equal the gift of life. Taemin already has, Nari said. He saved my life once. Now he's working to save the future for all Velkari children. He prevented a war on Arcadia. He's building bridges between our species. If we let him continue, he could prevent a war here too. That's not equal to saving one life. That's greater. She took a breath, and Taemin saw her hands shake slightly. I formally request that the council release Taemin from the life debt and recognize his service as fulfilled. And if the council will not do that, I invoke my right as the one who was saved. I will assume the debt myself. Ask Frez. A.T. I will assume the debt myself. The room went completely silent. You would take your mother's place? A council member asked quietly. Yes, Nari said. By our laws, the debt can be transferred. If the council insists someone must protect Taemin, then let it be me. I will leave Velthara and serve as ambassador to Earth. I will stay with him, fulfill the protection, obligation, and build the bridge between our peoples that he has shown is possible. Queen Isara stood abruptly. Nari, no. You are my heir. Your place is here. My place is where I can best serve our people, Nari said, meeting her mother's eyes. You taught me that, mother. You've ruled alone for years, putting duty above personal happiness. Let me do the same. The queen looked at her daughter, and Taemin saw something break in her expression. She was being offered the same impossible choice she had given Taemin. Keep what she loved close and watch it wither, or let it go, and risk losing it forever. High Chancellor Morveth spoke into the silence. This is unprecedented. The princess cannot simply volunteer to leave Velthara. Can't she? Another council member said. Or are you afraid that if she does, she will prove that cooperation with humans is not only possible but beneficial? The debate raged for hours. Taemin was escorted out, but he could hear the arguing through the walls. Conservative members wanted to maintain tradition. Progressive members saw an opportunity for change. The queen said nothing, trapped between her duty to her people and her love for her daughter. Finally, as the planet's twin moons rose outside the palace windows, the doors opened. Princess Nari emerged, her face unreadable. Then Queen Isara stepped out, and her expression told Taemin everything. The council has reached a decision, the queen said formally. But her voice cracked slightly. They have agreed that the traditional life debt no longer serves the greater good of our people. Taemin of Earth, your service in preventing war and building cooperation between our species is deemed equal to the life you gave for my daughter. Taemin felt his knees go weak. I'm free? You are free, the Queen confirmed. Then she added, but I ask you to consider something. The Council has created a new position. Human, Valkyrie, Cultural, Liaison. It is not a debt or an obligation. It is a choice. If you accept, you would travel between our worlds, helping prevent conflicts and build understanding. You would have full diplomatic immunity. You could go to Earth whenever you wished. You could leave the position at any time. But I hope you won't. And Nari? Taemin asked. I have volunteered to serve as Valkyrie ambassador to Earth, Nari said. Her voice was steady, but Taemin could see the fear and excitement in her eyes. If you accept the liaison position, we would work together. Queen Isara looked at both of them. I spent 2 years trying to protect you by holding tight. But my daughter taught me that protection through control isn't love. It's fear. I choose to let you both go, trusting that what we've built together is strong enough to survive distance. She reached out and touched Nari's face gently. You are so like your father. He would be proud of you. Then she turned to Taemin. And you? Human? You saved my daughter twice now. Once from fire, and once from a mother who loved too fiercely. I cannot repay that. I can only say thank you. Taemin felt tears on his face. I accept the position. Not because I owe you, but because this work matters. The Queen smiled, and it was like watching the sun rise. Then let us begin. 3 months later, Taemin stood in his mother's garden on Earth, breathing air that smelled exactly right for the first time in 2 years. His mother hugged him tightly, crying and laughing at the same time. His sister, G1, stood nearby, grinning. You're really home, his mother said. I thought I'd never see you again. I'm home, Taemin agreed. But I can't stay long. I have work to do. His mother pulled back and looked at him. Tell me about this work. So he did. He told her about Arcadia, about the atmospheric processors being built by mixed human Valkyrie teams. He told her about the 3 new joint colonies being planned. He told her about the cultural exchange programs being developed. He told her about a young Valkyrie princess who was living on Earth now, learning what it meant to be an ambassador. You prevented a war, his mother said softly. I'm trying to, Taemin said. One bridge at a time. That evening, Princess Nari came to visit. She looked strange on Earth, her crystalline form standing out among humans. But she moved with confidence. The young Valkyrie had become famous, a symbol of cooperation between species. They sat in the garden together as Earth's single moon rose. Nari looked up at it and smiled. It's so lonely, she said. You miss home, Taemin said. I miss mother, Nari admitted. But I'm where I need to be, just like you are. Taemin thought about Queen Isara, ruling alone on Velthara, watching through quantum communicators as her daughter built a new future. He thought about the sacrifice she had made, letting go of the only family she had left. He thought about how love sometimes meant opening your hands instead of closing them. Your mother is an amazing person, he said. So are you, Nari replied. You taught us that freedom is worth fighting for. Not with weapons, but with understanding. As the night grew darker, Taemin's comm device chimed. A message from Queen Isara. He opened it, and a hologram appeared in the garden air. The queen stood in her palace, looking directly at him. Taemin, she said, thank you. Not for saving Nari's life, though I will always be grateful for that. Thank you for teaching me that the greatest act of love is trust. Thank you for showing me that holding tight isn't protection. Thank you for giving me the courage to let go. The message ended, and Taemin sat in the quiet garden. He was free. He could walk away from all of this, return to being a simple cargo pilot, live a normal life. But he wouldn't, because he had found something more important than freedom. He had found purpose. The next morning, he would board a ship to the newest joint colony. There would be disputes to mediate, misunderstandings to resolve, bridges to build. The work would never end. But it was good work, important work, and he had chosen it freely, which made all the difference.